I'm back, and today I wanted to talk to you about another modality of counseling, another style or technique. And once again, I want to remind you that most counselors, at least the counselors I've been around, are trained in a variety of techniques. And they're going to be pulling from a lot of various different techniques at different times during a session. So what I did for these video blogs was to try to pull apart each different style of therapy so that you could actually see what your counselor might be doing. And my intent is that these posts would kind of take away some of the fear that people have about counseling, and that they would see it as a very helpful thing. So again, tonight we're talking about rational emotive behavior therapy, and this is very similar or a brand of cognitive behavior therapy. And this type of therapy doesn't rule out emotions, but what it focuses on are thoughts, cognitions. So Albert Ellis, E-L-L-I-S, is the person who came up with this theory, and it was in the 1960s. He was a very blunt New Yorker, and so maybe that will help you kind of get a picture for this style of counseling. Albert Ellis felt like what disturbs men's minds the most is not actual events, but what men think about those events. So for instance, let's say my neighbor doesn't invite me over for her barbecue. Ellis would say that the problem was my thinking about the fact that my neighbor didn't invite me rather than the fact that my neighbor didn't invite me. I'm going to give you just some examples of this style of counseling, and I'm going to list these on my blog post, but he came up with this formula, A, B, C, D, E, F. And A would stand for the activating event. I didn't get invited to the barbecue. B would be my beliefs about that event. I'm a loser, or I'm unlikable. C would be the consequences of that. And that would be like I feel bad about myself, or I'm depressed. E would be the effect of those thoughts. D would be when you dispute that and go, you know what, I don't have to be invited to everybody's party. And then the E would be the effect of thinking about the disputing thought. And then F would be how your feelings change. So I hope that's kind of helpful. Maybe a more simplified way of summing this up would be to, like when I talk about cognitive behavior therapy, I always say stinking thinking. So it's your thinking that causes you to feel depressed, which causes you to sit alone in your house and not hang around other people or whatever. But if you change your thinking, then you can say things like, I don't have to be appreciated by everybody or liked by everybody. Ellis, he would say that whenever you're saying I ought to, or I should, or I have to, or I must, that those are irrational thoughts. He basically broke our thoughts down into rational and irrational. So whenever we're saying I should go visit my cousin, Ellis would say, well, you're shoulding all over yourself. Shoulding all over yourself. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here of thoughts that you might dispute. So number one, you may say to yourself, I must do well. I have to do well. And I see this all the time as a teacher over at Colorado Christian. Students who get 1 point off and they freak out. They write to me and they want to know, why did I count off 1 point or half a point? And I tell them I don't very often give perfect scores. Ellis would tell you to dispute that and say, well, why do you have to do well? And he would say to replace it with, well, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to do well, but I can't expect to be perfect at everything. Another example would be, I'm a bad or worthless person when I do something stupid. Ellis would say to replace that with, maybe I'm a person who acted badly, but it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And my behavior and my worth are not tied together. And you can say things like, I will strive to do better next time. A third example might be, I must be approved or accepted by people that I find important. Ellis would say, well, if you're not approved by those people, life still works out. It would be nice if everybody accepted you, but it's not that big a deal. And a fourth example would be, people must treat me fairly and give me what I need. And Ellis would say, well, did you write the rules of the world? No, where is it written that everybody must treat you fairly and give you everything you need? So he would just have you dispute those, come up with a different disputing thought, and then watch the action that follows. And sometimes you might even say those thoughts out loud to yourself. That can be very helpful. Thank you.